I'm Sarah Russell.
I'm Jakey Walker.
I'm Hind, and we are
The Neurodivergent Report, a research-based podcast by and for neurodivergent brains.
In each episode, we'll explore topics relating to neurodiversity and coping strategies by reviewing the literature and discussing current topics.
We will also have interview episodes where we sit down with experts in the field and listeners like you, with the hope that together we can all learn to heal in community.
However you are able to engage, thank you for being here. Hello, I am Sarah Russell, and I am one of the hosts of the Neurodivergent Report. I'm here today with my other host and our guest, Jamie Cutino. Let you guys all say hi.
How's it going, everyone?
Hi, I'm Jay. I'm Sarah's co-conspirator / co-host, and we're so happy to have Jamie here today.
Aw, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're so
Jamie,
welcome.
you're super humble because you're also very impressive.
Yes.
The little bio that I have written for Jamie is, she's an ADHD coach. She's a certified occupational therapist. She's a 2-time TEDx speaker, and she's currently based in Colorado with her husband and 2 dogs. Her favorite flavor of ice cream is Moose Tracks. And I think just for all of the non-Americans who are definitely going to be listening to this, what even is Moose Tracks ice cream? It's got like a vanilla base. Jamie, you talk about it.
It's got peanut butter cups in it.
Peanut butter cups, yeah.
Pieces of fudge in it.
Fudge swirl, totally.
Fudge swirl. It's so good. It's my favorite, go-to.
I've worked in 2 different ice cream parlors, so ice
Stop
cream is
it.
really an intimate interest of mine. Maybe I should be asking everybody what their favorite flavor of ice cream is.
Now
Yeah.
I'm really curious. Yeah.
Yeah, little
Okay, what's
icebreaker
your-
ice cream question. Oh, for me?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Okay, so chocolate.
So tough. I know, right?
But they don't always have it, but they have like a midnight cookies and cream where it's chocolate with Oreos in it. And that to me is like peak.
I do miss cookies and cream so much, so I had to go gluten-free. So now I'm limited.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the flavor I'm going to go with right now is, because of course, is coffee. It's called Vienna Mocha Chunk. It's like a coffee ice cream, and then it's got like the espresso chocolate chunks.
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So that's
Yeah.
wake your ass up.
Yeah. Oh, so we're having it in the morning. I mean,
Why not?
Imagine, okay,
No.
a scoop. So instead of using coffee creamer, scoop of that ice cream in the coffee. Could be good.
Ooh, Okay.
Could be good.
Okay.
I never have done anything like that, but the coffee creamer that I use basically is melted ice cream. It's so freaking sweet. Like
Yeah.
I would never drink it on its own.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great idea. Anyway, amazing. I love this. We're besties. Amazing. So I feel like I already told everybody who Jamie is. But now I'll let her talk a little bit about herself. Yeah, where do you want to start?
Oh gosh. I guess maybe how I got into this line of work, because it's definitely not,
Sure.
what I envisioned for my life when I was a little girl. It's something
Yeah.
that came across along the way.
Interesting.
So I didn't know that I had ADHD until I was 26. So it was 4 years ago? No, 5 years. About 5 years ago now. At that time, I was already in my graduate program to be an occupational therapist, and was talking to my therapist and was like, hey, I think this is more than just general anxiety. I've been doing a lot of research on ADHD. I think I might have it. And she was like, oh yeah, you were diagnosed as a kid. Do you not remember? And I'm like, no. No.
Yeah.
At least they had the records. Wow. Big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah. I had been seeing this therapist since I was 12, 14 on through when I was 23. So a long time. And yeah, I was really struggling in school. I had turned in my second or third rough draft as my final assignment, final essay, because I would save a new copy every time I did any edits on something and not throw out the old copies.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was affecting my schooling to where I'm in tears of what in the F is wrong with me. And then she's like, oh yeah, you were diagnosed a long time ago.
Aww.
It kind of makes sense that I guess I didn't know, other than I wish someone would have had a conversation with me. If my mom did have a conversation with me about it, I don't remember. She passed away my senior year of high school, so I wasn't able to talk to her about that. So I find out that I have ADHD. At this time, I'm living with my in-laws because not long before this, my husband had a mental breakdown. He could not care for himself, needed 24/7 care. So I find myself living at my in-laws' house with my husband. That was a journey, to say the least. So it was going to be a while before I was going to be done with my occupational therapy, like my schooling and my degree. And I'm like, I need to figure out how to live and make money and get out of this house as fast as I can because my mental health is plummeting.
Yeah.
Cue my really rough start to my business. Super embarrassing. Just like decided I'm going to be an ADHD coach, even though I don't have like any credentials to show that I should be an ADHD coach. Put out a Facebook post saying I'm taking on clients. I asked everyone and their mother and sister to share the post, and I got my first 4 paying clients. So that was 3 years ago. Last month was the 3-year anniversary of my business. And then found out that I was autistic a couple years after that. And that answered the rest of the questions of what's wrong with me.
Yeah, why are these meds still not working?
Yeah, like what's going on? Why do people find me to be so abrasive when I'm literally just answering a question and I'm not speaking in code and underlying meanings? So yeah,
I was just talking about that in my Discord earlier today.
Yeah.
Well, it's so tough because we're out here just trying to do so much work, so much more work than we should be trying to do. And then other people sometimes expect us to have considered them with all of our words and like how we arrange everything and how we like deliver everything, how we engage with them, I guess. Like sometimes their expectations of that doesn't align with our expectations or our capacity to give them like more energy.
It's like a completely different language, and I feel like until you know that you're autistic or
maybe I'm
ADHD,
just too compassionate. But maybe
I
need that. But like I need that.
The double empathy problem is a thing, and that could be a whole episode's worth of discussion. So
add it to the list.
Yes.
There's literature on that.
Yes. But sorry, Jamie, were you saying something?
No, you're good. Yeah, it's just like, it's like we're speaking 2 different languages, but until you know that you have those conditions, it's like you don't realize you're speaking 2 different languages, and then cue RSD and isolation and social anxiety and all the other fun things that come with it.
Right. And for listeners, RSD is rejection sensitivity dysphoria. But to like exactly your point, I think it comes from a place of wanting to like protect your kid, but by hiding it, it's like some big horrible secret, when in reality, it's just a different neurotype, a different nervous system, a different brain. Again, it comes from a good place, but not only would it alleviate stigma, but it would help the person to know how to work with their brain. Right. So, yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have the vocabulary to advocate for yourself and your needs, or even to understand your body, then you'll never be able to ask for help, let alone that maybe even that you need it.
It's a lot of work to like dismantle the internalized ableism, because I see that all the time with my clients. Like some of them have known for a while that they have ADHD, and they're still saying like, oh, well, I was too lazy to do this, or I just wasn't motivated. I'm just like, really? I think that you weren't supported enough at that time in your life. I think that you're burnt out. I think that you never knew how to work with how your brain works and did the absolute best that you could with what you had at that time. You silly goose. You are not lazy. You're the farthest thing from it.
You're so hard.
Yeah.
gosh, there are so many follow-up questions that I could ask you about you yourself, but I think the one that I'm gonna pick is how it's really interesting to me that you got diagnosed sort of around your transition to college.
Around my transition out of college. So at this time,
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. I think it's because like I simply didn't know, and I went my entire life just thinking that I was lazy, and also coming from a really low income background. If you didn't do, if you weren't a good kid in school, it's because you weren't a good kid. It's because you were a pain in the ass. Am I allowed to curse? I won't curse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You absolutely can.
Okay.
Let me ask you, I mean, obviously your mom was sort of gone at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So did she graduate from college? I mean, who was filling those judgments in your head? Where did that come from?
The way the teachers treated me, the way the professors treated me, having a really hard time keeping any type of friendships. Oh yeah. Oh
Big
yeah.
cringe.
Yeah. In my keynote, I literally talk about how I had professors be like, I don't understand why you're doing so bad, or I know that you're not trying your hardest, when I sort of told them I am trying my hardest and I'm struggling. Nobody said like, oh hey, maybe you want to look into something. I know legally they can't be like, girl, you have ADHD, go get tested.
Go get on that.
Yeah, but I thought that someone would say something like, oh hey, maybe you want to check into that, maybe you just learn differently. What is that amazing thing that you crocheted? I love this so much. And it has like Easter egg.
I can't believe how great this looks.
Is it an Easter egg?
I couldn't have planned it. No, this is just another heart. I've been building these hearts all day long. And so, yeah, I'm going to end up sewing this motherfucker into a beautiful little butterfly, it looks like.
Awesome.
It's gonna be,
I love it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so sorry to have interrupted you, but
please don't
felt like everyone needed that visual stimulation because it was magnificent. It like bubbled inside of me. I don't know if you felt that too.
I needed to share. I love it. Yeah. I've had a thought that's been like in my head since you were talking, and I wanted to say, so do you think it comes from a level, I mean, I know that in general, women present differently than the stereotypical ADHD and autism stereotype. So I'm assuming I know the answer to this, but I'm wondering, so do you think that the reason why maybe teachers or professors didn't even consider reaching out is because you just weren't presenting in that way?
I think partly I mean, my therapist told me, like, you're primarily inattentive type, but I was the person to have to get up and, I pretend to sharpen my pencil because, back in the 90s, we had to sharpen our pencils at that god-awful thing in the wall that was so loud.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, like the thing that you have to crank or whatever. So, I mean, I was that student that would, be sharpening my pencil when I really didn't need to, or asking to go to the bathroom when I really didn't need to, just so I can move around.
Oh, man.
But definitely had the inattentive qualities of, doodling on the side of my paper, trying to stay awake, having a really hard time attending to subjects that were interesting to me, which of course was interpreted as I just didn't care, which not true.
Right.
At all. So yeah, I flew under the radar. I think just at that time coming from, I don't know. But again, I was diagnosed. I don't remember anyone having that conversation with me.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I do remember my mom being like, okay, we're going to get you on medicine because you're struggling. And in my head, there wasn't a conversation about why am I being put on medicine. It was just, we're going to put you on medicine.
What even were your struggles?
Yeah.
In your brain, you didn't obviously remember that portion of the conversation.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't stay on medicine, although I'm on it as an adult and it's been life-changing for me to be on ADHD medicine. But at that time, I told my mom, like, no, like, I'm fine. I'm getting decent grades in school. I'm fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's just a lot of things that contributed to me not knowing for most of my life.
I want to go back to the college and the stigma because you are, I think, a first-generation college kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for people who aren't familiar with what that means, she's the first sort of person in her family to have gone to college, or at least in this generation of family. So that's its own identity.
It is. It is. It's kind of, sometimes I still feel like a fish out of water because I came from an uneducated, blue collar, poor, rural area of the Midwest. And now I'm an occupational therapist with a partner who makes really good money as a software engineer. And sometimes it still feels like I'm out of place being in this tax bracket, to be honest. I think it's something that people don't talk about much. And I'm not saying like, woe is me. I'm so grateful to be here. Sometimes I still feel like, yeah, but that person is still part of me. You know, the very poor person who was on, you know, food stamps and didn't know how I was going to pay my rent is still there. I get accused of not having having a small vocabulary simply because I use the word fuck liberally when I speak.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. It almost like brings me back to like, is it very obvious I didn't come from anything, even though I am very educated, have been on TEDx stages? It's just an identity thing I still have to kind of grapple with of who am I? And also seeing how differently I'm treated now in this tax bracket versus then. And my social injustice meter is just
clap,
like
clap, clap.
the
Oh,
fucking
yes.
roof. It affects how medical professionals talk to you. It affects how people in retail talk to you. If you walk into a nice store, will they make eye contact with you? Will they not?
Right.
It affects everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wasn't a different person then that I am now. And I think just being on both sides of it it's interesting. That's for sure. To say the least.
Yeah. It's interesting too, with like just using fuck or cursing just in general casually. You technically have a bigger vocabulary than they're using. So
Thank you. That's
just
one
saying.
more fucking word that I'm using that you're
Heck,
not.
yes.
Deborah.
Yeah, Deborah.
There was a Deborah that responded back to my marketing email, literally just to tell me that the way that I was acting wasn't professional and vulgar, and having ADHD is not an excuse to be able to speak in that way.
Oh man, dude, what are we doing?
I'm like, listen, just unsubscribe. She's like, and I'm gonna unsubscribe.
It's not for you.
Yeah, and I'm
See
just
ya.
like, yeah, bye. I've been mourning your loss since I got that email. Shut the fuck up. Anyway.
Yeah, there's also there's a tie for me between how you see yourself and identity, both with neurodivergence and it sounds with your socioeconomic class, feeling that you will only be seen as a certain way if you're fitting this very specific image of what that thing is.
Yeah.
So you had that, it seems like, or have had in a few different areas of your life, that kind of I guess inner conflict in a way.
Yeah.
I was gonna call it imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Yeah, which is funny because I speak on that. Like that's what I speak on when I go to colleges and stuff, is imposter syndrome, especially when you come from, you know, maybe a low income background, or you have invisible disabilities or in other marginalized communities. But yeah, I still feel it all of the time. Like Sarah, when you were like, oh, you have an impressive bio, my first instinct is like, oh, like, do I really though? Like I'm just
which is crazy to the outside, because we're just like, oh my god, like you've done so much, you know. So yeah.
I think like it's just a perpetual. I'm trying to get over this. I don't know if I ever quite will get over it per se, but to just not have to live my life to create achievements to feel like I'm good enough. I think that's something that maybe I'll always deal with for the rest of my life. But it's exhausting. I want to just be able to exist and know that I'm enough because I exist, and be able to just introduce myself as Jamie, not I've done TED Talks. It's almost like, here, I am worthy. Let me show you why I'm worthy.
Yeah. I'm just going to come right out and be very honest with our listeners and tell, like, my notes for this episode start with, who are you and why do we care? And that's when we talked about her very impressive bio. So, like, yeah, I mean, this world. So I actually just said this earlier today, like, we're facing this hydra of a beast of racism, ableism, and capitalism. And if you try to attack one head, the other heads attack you. And so that's sort of what you're talking about here.
But, one thing I wanted to mention. So when you go from like being very, very poor to solid middle class, there are invisible rules that nobody tells you. Like when you're very poor, you are told work really, really hard, bust your ass. It's like you get a sense of pride from it. And then you find yourself making six figures.
Hustle culture.
Yep, hustle culture. And
my dad is a truck driver. He didn't even graduate high school, and he always used to call himself Hustle Russell, and he ingrained that into me, and that was what I took from him. Like I wanted to be that, you know?
Yeah.
Without realizing how much I would give to capitalism.
Yes. And that's what I was gonna,
like how much of my body, right? Like my physical health.
Right.
The best years of my life.
Right. I'm like, rest to who? That was exhausting.
Yeah.
There's a really cool book I'm reading right now called Rest is Resistance. And it's
I'm so glad you are.
Were you the one that told me about it?
I don't know.
Okay, you probably
But I was
were.
just thinking about it when you were talking about like how you just want to be Jamie.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic.
I'm just Sarah.
Right. Like
yeah.
Have either of you two experienced this where it's like you're not poor anymore and you realize that the things that were ingrained in you when you didn't have money are literally just to fuel capitalism. If you keep people who are poor to think that work really, really hard, pretty much sacrifice your entire body, your existence, you will be a good person, it only serves the people who are making money off of your back.
Exploiting your labor, your capital.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm not at all religious, but I feel like I'm like the minister of like, listen, you are
get a
taught
Church
lies.
of Social Justice.
Yes.
Yes.
The Church of Social Justice. Exactly. Thank you. That's can I borrow that, Sarah? I will quote you. I can remember.
Yeah, if we want to do it together, like we'll just combine with our powers combined, like
lead the church.
Yeah.
Lead the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% you can.
And the worst part about it too is like when I say they, just the general person will make a tie to everyone's favorite, like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, and be like, guys, they got where they are. Exactly. Yeah. Get a little.
Yeah.
So,
like they got where they are because they worked so hard and now they're making all this money. So if you work as hard as they do, you'll be making a bunch of money. And it's like, number one, not everybody can be a billion gazillionaire. Number two is I am sure that there are a lot of people who work more hours and work harder and give up more of their bodies and souls than they do. So it's just such a misleading thing. And it's just so frustrating. Exactly what you're saying. Like, can I be part of this church too? Can I give
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You've got so much fire.
Yeah.
We all sort of have family members that we've lost to the other side that we're gonna have to love back to health. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
Anyway, but only to the extent that we can also remain happy, healthy, and safe.
That's something I've had to learn is that, like, do your best with advocacy and just making a difference. There needs to be, like, at the end of that, underline 17 times, but not to the detriment of your own health.
Yeah.
Because I think when a lot of us have been told, like, do your best, we don't think not to the point of burnout.
Right.
And I think that's just intuitively known amongst maybe neurotypical people. Like, do your best just means not to the point of actually, you know.
But I think that makes sense. Like, I think that we're so used to, like,
this communication.
Neurodivergent, this community is really used to continually pushing yourselves until you can't do it anymore because you're being told that, like, you doing even that and burning out still isn't enough. Right. So that makes sense, you know? Yeah. Something else too about like doing your best in that area. Something I know this isn't like a very new thought, but just the idea that some people, based on their either judgments of you with the demographics that you're in or by knowing you, they could just be turned off to what you're saying, even if you're delivering it well, if you're making sense. Like, it could be from the wrong source, if that makes sense, which is really unfortunate, because it sucks that people, you know, that's just how it is sometimes. But sometimes you just need like a well-off, well-educated cis white guy talking to you in like a very nice and calming way about these things for it to be received. And I just think that knowing your limitations, not only from a burnout perspective, but also like knowing who you're talking to, what their judgments of you might be, and also your experience with them. Because I know that growing up, you know, I was always like labeled as like sensitive or judgmental or bossy. And it's the kind of thing where I think that even if I'm going to a family member who doesn't really have a lot of preconceived notions about gender or, you know, anything, I think that it would still not be well received just because of their history with me and how they've perceived me. So,
I had a conversation on my podcast a while ago with Michael Ashford, and he was talking about like, use your like zone of influence to create change. Pretty much like exactly what you said. Not everyone's going to listen to you or give a fuck about what you have to say. Someone that maybe you have a close connection with will, and they can pass it on.
They can. And like they repackage your information in a way that like the other person might be able to receive it better. Right. Because that's how communication works.
I wish that like the whole world, we all just like spoke the same exact language and there wasn't all these bias, but that's just not the world that we live in.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about any specific research before we move on to talking about nervous regulation?
Maybe the intersection of people who come from low income homes, but specifically with maybe parents who are emotionally immature or abusive or neglectful, who claw themselves out of poverty and then land a professional or corporate job, and how challenging it is to come into that world not having a voice because of the childhood that you came from. I see this often in my clients, that they struggle, I think, a lot more than others to say no, to put up boundaries. And it's like that
with communication and with boundaries and interpersonal relationships and like, we consider workplace and personal life to be separate, but they're totally not. Like, relationships are relationships.
Right. Like, how can your relationships be okay if you are drowning at work? And how can your work be okay if you're drowning in your relationships? I see a direct correlation between when I'm doing well in my relationship and how my business is doing, and vice versa. So yeah, I guess I don't see it talked about enough in the ADHD and autism communities, of when you come from that type of background, how hard it is with those extra layers added in.
Well, I wonder if we don't see a lot of people talking about it because they don't want to out themselves, and they don't want to like disrespect their parents or like rock the boat or whatever. Like, our abusers are still alive, y'all.
Woo!
Yeah. And sometimes I forget about that because I'm in a position where I don't really have parents. My mom has passed. I'm no contact with my dad for over 5 years now, I think it's probably been. So sometimes I need the reminder of like, that's something that I don't have to deal with. No, it's okay. It's just my life. But in that way, I don't have to worry about the repercussions of that, and the family that doesn't want me to speak out about it. They've already been vocal. I guess I've had to deal with all their crap. But yeah, it can make it hard to find support when you don't want to out where you came from, or you don't want your coworkers to think like, oh, well, who is this person that came from that, like, that trash background? What are they doing here? And I think just trying to fit in, you're not going to be looking for the support of why you don't fit in. You even add in the layer of like an abusive or a neglectful family, you have to say yes as a survival skill. So that was something I also had to unlearn in my professional world of, hey, I'm not actually going to die if I say no. And yeah, I think it's one of the things that, well, I know it's one of the things that my clients struggle with as well, of like literally feeling safe enough to say no.
Yeah. Saying no. And I'm also wondering, like, trusting yourself and your perception of what's going on. I imagine that's probably part of it too.
Yeah. I mean, you're taught to, being neurodivergent, you're taught to not trust how you're thinking and feeling all the time. And if you add in a background where you were taught that how you felt was wrong or what you thought was wrong, as, you know, ways of control.
Or your recollection of what happened is actually not what happened.
Right. Right. Yeah. It just adds in a lot of other complex layers for sure.
So given everything, Jamie, how are you personally and how are you advising your clients on like keeping themselves regulated, their nervous systems, emotions, however you call it?
I wish I had like a super simple, here's a 3-step process for nervous system regulation.
You would be rich.
I would be so fucking rich. I would be at the same conferences as Elon, but then going up to him and not telling him to fuck off.
Hell yeah.
That's what I would be doing. I'd be like, and you can go fuck yourself. So a lot of nervous system regulation, there are oftentimes systemic issues that are happening. And what I find with my clients specifically is their relationships are very people-pleasy, which means that they are doing way more for other people than they are even able to do for themselves. It's affecting their work. So maybe they're working way more hours, or they're trying to get all their dopamine from their work and all their self-worth from their work. So step one is really like, what is causing all of this dysregulation? And it probably has something to do with those issues. So then it goes into helping them to feel safe enough to tackle those issues, to advocate for themselves in their relationships, in their professional life, how to say no to your mother-in-law that wants to take you shopping on a Saturday when it's literally the only time that you have any downtime and you just want to binge Schitt's Creek and live your best life. I'm rewatching Schitt's Creek right now. It's like one of the greatest shows ever.
I know.
I'm obsessed. So step one is really like tackling those big systemic issues that are really, 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 really hard to tackle, especially without
Find
support.
the root.
Yeah, the root. And then after that, it's very specific of how to accommodate yourself in your daily life. I think I know there's a lot of people who don't even realize that the fact that they don't have a block of time to just be able to focus on the things that they need to get done, it's not there. So therefore, those things are never getting done. They're constantly ruminating on them and they're exhausted. And even when they're sitting there watching TV, they're not actually resting because they're too busy thinking about all the things that they had to do and did not get done.
Yep.
So it's like, how do you accommodate yourself to be able to get those things done and rest and also redefine what a successful life looks like? Back when I hired my coach, I told her like, okay, my goal is to make, and it was a stupid amount of money. It was like $35,000 a month because I want to be able to afford myself full time. I want to be able to buy my partner out of his job. And I want to have this other full-time person working for me that's in the US. So, that's expensive because I'm not going to pay someone a not livable wage. Rich, yeah. Not realizing that my goal was really to make other people's lives easier because I knew how hard my entire life had been, pretty much trying to absorb everyone else's struggles. So unpacking all of that with people as well, of like, is this really your burden or is this somebody else's burden? Yeah, but I digress. Anyway, yes, the step one of nervous system regulation is deconstructing. And then I feel like part two is, okay, now that you've deconstructed, what do you want your life to actually look like? And are your goals based in what you really want and what would make you happy? Or is it based off of what society is telling you will make you happy? Because I achieved everything that I thought would make me happy. I went to school. I got the degrees. Right out of graduate school, I negotiated a 6-figure job. I was able to quit that and do. I was able to quit that and do my business full time. I started my speaking business way less than a year ago. And at my first paid speaking gig, I made $5,000 because I pulled it out of my ass and told them I could. So therefore I delivered and did. I've been on 2 TEDx stages. I have 2 rescue dogs. I live in a nice house in a nice area. I have done everything on the checklist, on the bucket list that should make me happy. But then you get there and you realize that's actually not going to make you happy.
Yeah.
Taking joy in the day-to-day of, I don't have to work 8 hours for a piece of shit boss. It's like, it's those little things that make you happy. It's not what you think is going to be the pinnacle of happiness. So also deconstructing that and what do you actually really want can help with burnout, with nervous system regulation.
Well, to figure out what you want is something amazing. And there's a certain privilege to then be able to go do that thing.
Yep.
Because sometimes you have to take risks, and sometimes people might not have the ability to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Although I do think it's a sham and bullshit that people who are in higher socioeconomic statuses will say, you know, money won't make you happy, because for someone who's not making enough money to make ends meet, it absolutely will make you happier. And they do have studies on that of like, when you make
that's because they're talking about them. They're talking about them damn selves. Like that research shows that there is actually a cap to how, like, there is an ideal buffer amount of money that does contribute to overall quality of life and satisfaction scores. But like above that, more money, more problems, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, there's so many things that go into nervous system regulation, but also for me personally, understanding my sensory needs has been life-changing.
That you have sensory needs?
That I have sensory needs, that I understand. Like, I look back on jobs I used to work. Back in my I feel like it's a past life at this point. I was a personal trainer, and I pretty much ran this entire gym, ran the classes, loud music all of the time, smiling, greeting, small talk, sales conversations in a certain way that my bosses wanted me to have them. And I look back and I'm just like, bitch, no wonder you're tired. No wonder you're tired. That music constantly, it was just just everything that could have drained me, stole all of my energy. All of those was there.
Dude, that's crazy. I was a group fitness instructor.
Oh, really?
I taught spin. I had the same, like this, I feel very much like my experience reflected in what you just said. So yeah.
I'm curious now, like being out of that environment. Well, actually, can I ask a question that's not really related to neurodiversity? Because I have to. Okay, so I'm on this journey of like, I'm deconstructing a lot of thoughts that were instilled in me working in the very toxic fitness industry. And I'm curious, since you were an instructor in it, like, did you look back and say like, what the fuck? Those weren't actually diets. They were actually eating disorders. Like, there's a lot of fat phobia up in this bitch. Why?
Dude. I'm not sure if I shared this in the first episode or not. I mean, I was diagnosed with anorexia in like 2019, something that I struggled with for a while. Finally been in remission for a while, but like,
that's huge.
You know, yeah, thank you. And it's the kind of thing where it's like, definitely being submerged into the wellness industry was part of it, just diet culture in general. Like, to answer your question, yes, and it also doesn't help. There is a very big comorbidity of eating disorders and other anxiety-based disorders and autism and ADHD. Yeah.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense, because we, at the core of it, we struggle to regulate.
Yeah, and I as another side tangent, because I'm sorry, Jamie, if this is getting away from like what you were talking about. Whenever, like when I would look back on my disorder eating behaviors, it was always this level of like, of control, obviously. And like, I also know I'm very perfectionistic. I think that's part of it. Yes. But I think more of it is like a fear of not being accepted. And just to explain, like, I have all, like, I've been told from a very young age, like, oh, like you seem like such like a smart girl, and like you're conventionally attractive, so like you'll be fine. So even if you're annoying or like off-putting to some people, like at least you have that. So like if I didn't feel like I was doing, oh yeah, like from family members, from just people in general. So it's the kind of, dude, I know. So it's the kind of thing where like if I didn't do well in school, or I felt like something was like off, like with the way that I looked, I was like, oh my God, I'm losing the thing where people are going to like tolerate me. It's the kind of thing where whether it's, you know, really deep interpersonal relationships or even just meeting a new person, it was for a long time like, oh, when are they going to realize that I'm actually like weird, and they're gonna like be off, it's gonna be off-putting. So
you too?
Oh yeah. So the eating disorder was definitely like, I need this to at least get people to maybe try to stay. And yeah, but sorry, that was again a big tangent away from what you were talking about.
Don't be sorry. I really appreciate you sharing those vulnerabilities, and now I am understanding my disordered eating behaviors in a different light now too. You give me a lot to think about.
Sorry, just vomit.
No, this is I really enjoy self-discovery, and now I'm just like, oh well, fuck.
God damn it.
Fuck. I thought I worked through all the fucking layers of trauma. Here's another one.
Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's touching a lot of spaghettis too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because I also feel that like intimately, like this will get them to stay.
Yeah.
But for me, it was a different type of like maladaptive behavior.
Yeah. But then hopefully you find those people who are just like, dude, I like everything that's here, including the things that you think are, you know, not good. Like I'm here for all of it. I signed up for the whole package, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I hope that everybody listening can also just like find those people, because those are the people that you want in your tribe.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I feel like having at least one person that really just loves you for exactly who you are. That's a hard regulating thing in and of itself.
Yes.
Like, very regulating.
But that's really hard to come by, you know?
It is. But there are some communities out there. They be small, but there are some communities out there where you can come and get involved with like-minded folk.
Yeah.
Jamie, I think you have one of those things.
A Facebook group that I shut down because it was too much. Speaking of redoing your business so that it doesn't burn you out and you can stay regulated, was something that I realized I was giving way more than receiving, and not in a fuck you guys, but in a like, I only have like, you only have a certain energy budget. And I realized that the energy I was pouring into that group was taking away from being able to do other things that made me happy, or other things that would make the money to be able to sustain doing a free resource like my podcast. So yeah, I used to have one. There's others, you'll find them, I promise.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't want to be like negative. I was just saying like, oh, it's difficult to find that, because a lot of people I think are like, oh my God, everybody has this. I need to have this. Why don't I have it? And it's something that of course is possible. And there are people out there who you will totally vibe with, and who you will totally love, and they will totally love you, like all of you. But it's just, you know, not everybody is that person too.
No. They're not. And something I had to learn too is that like, just because someone is ADHD or autistic doesn't inherently mean that they are someone that you can trust.
Yep.
That was a really hard lesson I had to learn with my past business partner. I'm just like, I think for a while I was naive, thinking, oh, okay, well, if you've gone through these struggles, you'll get it. I'll be able to trust you. And now I've had to learn that, hey, give it a little bit longer before you really say you're going to trust someone with your entire life.
So how can people engage with your work? How can people pay you?
You can go to You can go to my website, outsmartadhd.co, not com.co, and it's got my, you can find my podcast there. You can inquire to work with me. All the fun things are going to be there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jamie. So for the final question. So these are cards, confidence boosting edition from a company called We're Not Really Strangers. It was a free resource they sent me for signing up for their newsletter. Love them. Anyway, let's see what we got. Oh, wow.
Oh no, should I be scared?
This is so appropriate considering how we started this episode. So what about your current life would your childhood self be in awe of? Oh, to list the ways.
She would be really proud that I got an education. I'm not in an abusive relationship.
Yep.
Ooh. Heck yeah.
Didn't plan on crying today. I'm trying to hold it back, but yeah, she'd be really proud of that. That has been my dream since I was a kid, was to have enough resources like myself as an individual and to never be in an abusive relationship, and she'd be really proud of that.
I am so happy that you could do that for your younger self then, and for your current self. That's amazing.
Thank you for celebrating that with us today.
Thank you. This has been amazing, and I appreciate you both so much.
Yeah.
You're amazing. Maybe we'll have you on to do some nerdy research episodes or something.
I'd be so down. That would be awesome. I'd be so down.
I love chatting with you.
Likewise.
I'm sure people are going to love listening to us. It feels like we should have been doing our nails also at the same time.
I know, right? We're just all hanging out. I love the vibe.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
Appreciate both of you.
Thanks for being here. If you want to connect with the Neurodivergent Report, you can find us at ND Report Pod on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, Substack, etc.
If you're looking to support the show, the best thing you can do is subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Please do that.
And hey, if you want to check out more about us, visit our website at ndreportpod.com. And you can also go there if you want to be a guest contributor on the show.
Until next time, be well, do good.
Bye.